Guy's getting into his mind here.
So he limped a small blind again. Small raise, surprisingly small raise by Shagai, kind of a size that usually sucks people in. It seems he's now varying his play quite a bit. He's using different sizes, just going all in very easily. He's trying to stay hard to predict, which he certainly is, but I'm not sure that's the best strategy. I'm actually sure it's not the best strategy. You want to kind of make a bit more sense with your sizes. There is no benefit of sucking your opponent in when you have 7-3 offsuit.
Another scary looking card on the turn there.
But yeah, as Shagai has been playing, if you win all the pots, you don't mind if the pot gets a bit larger.
He is going for some chips here, and quite a few of them by the looks of it.
Karmatsky probably a bit worried about Shagai having hit the queen. And I assume he's now trying to get him to fold the queen by the river.
What's going on here?
Shagai doesn't care at all. Wow.
Fearless stuff here from Victor Shagai. Complete air, a total junk hand. Sees that bet from Kamaski of 800,000 and says, "Don't think so, son. How about some of this? 1.4 million in your face."
I assume it was 2.4 rather, or 2.2. Yeah.
Илья, я лучший, лучший.
Now he's showing I'm the best, the very best.
Getting under the skin here of Kamatsky. Maybe this is it. Maybe Kamatsky's brilliant at poker. Maybe not so good psychologically at the mind games.
Limp only with the queen 4. 10-9 suited. Worth a raise.
Oh, straight
Finally,
away.
we're getting
The straight away. On the flop.
Fortunately for Shagai, he doesn't just say all in. He does, though, bet 2/3 the pot. I want to see a raise. We don't get to see a raise.
You don't prefer to see the call, which is what we've got there? Just keeping him in?
Not against a player who is just getting so out of line. You have to raise and bet when you have strong hands. Most of the time. Sometimes, of course, you want to trap, but when you're still playing with so many chips behind against someone who can just jam in on you. Okay, right now he's considering the raise though, because he's feeling also that he needs to get more chips in so that he can get it all in by the river. And that is timely. It is fewer people though that will check call check raise as a bluff than people that will check raise bet as a bluff. And this is why I think you get the fold a bit more often as a check call check raise, which means that you can change your frequencies a little bit there and have a few more bluffs and a bit less value. Right now he has value though. And Shagai just asked him if you have a straight.
He has made the call here with his top pair.
He has to, really. You can't fault him for calling this bet. 1.5 pot left. Let's see
Now,
if we get a brick.
Can he,
Not a brick.
So can he check again, or does he have to bet here?
So he has already shown aggression. He could have been bluffing a hand like King 9, 9, 7 suited, all sorts of hands actually. He could have been bluffing any 9 or 10 with a club, with another club card.
So
And
he's looking to
those
extract a
have
very
missed.
thin value bet here then, right?
Yeah, the king is not a good card for him. He could have been bluffing something like king 9, king 10. And even though king 10 would probably be more often just called. And also he's behind ace 10 right now, which is not that big a problem for him. But you would assume that fairly often if Shagai has bet and then bet called, he will be on a queen. And if he is up against a one pair hand, because you would assume that two pair hands could have just jammed in on him, then they will probably not be able to call very large bets. So he goes for a smaller size, which I like.
Yep. Under half pot is the bet. Inviting a call. Shagai with 5.8 million. Can afford to maybe just call this off.
He said he's trying to find a hand that he's beating. There certainly are a few, but not that many. I don't think Karmatsky would have check raised an ace 5 of clubs or something very often, especially because it was a limp pot and he will have raised many of the suited aces. So those are unlikely bluff combinations of his. And the ones that we're left are the suited 9s and 10x's. And I do think he would have continued here with a 10 of clubs, 5 of clubs, or any other 10 of clubs with another card. So I do understand that call that Shagai makes.
He does fold in the end.
I think he called.
Which says, have to say, Igor, you're one of the top players that I've heard commentating that breaks down the action so well.
Thank you. I still enjoy playing a lot and have been talking to Liv about poker a reasonable amount. And it definitely teaches to teach. Like you learn yourself quite a bit by having to put it into...
Explain it in layman's terms, yeah?
Well, not necessarily even in layman's terms, but just if you have to explain it to someone, then you have to make sense. If the people you explain it to don't understand it, it means you're doing a bad job, not the people who are not understanding it.
Kamapski's flopped happy here, but he's not likely to get paid for his set.
Shagai didn't bite so far. And we've seen the 3-7 offsuit before. This situation is not much different. He's looking at how many chips he can put in. Does he have enough to pressure around? He actually does. He could raise to 1.3 million or something. 1.5. And it is a play he might make sometimes with a queen. So it would be credible that he would get some 10 highs, ace highs to fold here, or like a 3. But I hope he doesn't go for it. I think he had quite decent timing so far. Partially due to luck, but partially also...
6-4 suited for Shagai. He completes. Karmatsky has king 9.
What are we thinking, Finton? You're the short stack heads up expert. We're shoving, checking, both fine.
I think against Shagai, I wouldn't mind checking, trying to make a very decent top pair, but shoving's definitely going to be fine. Definitely going to make chips with a shove pre-flop.
It's just whether you can make more by taking it into the streets, right?
I mean, a flop like this, whilst it might not look like the best flop, ace 9-7, in a limp pot, you're never ever going to dream of folding king 9 here. So you're probably just going to buckle on and just call down. Of course, some runouts, maybe like jack queen or something really bad like this, and 8-6, you might find a fold. But you've got to be feeling pretty confident with your second pair top kicker right now. A lot of the weaker ace-x hands are probably just going to open shove pre off this stack size, so not a whole lot left.
And Kamatsky will make the call.
400,000 apiece.
A little bit of an improvement for Shagai. Picks up a gut shot straight draw. Of course, he has very short stacks, so not a lot of wiggle room for him to want to be firing off multiple streets. We will see him check behind to try and realize his equity.
Well, this is all Kamatsky.
I think once we see a check on the turn, as Finton pointed out, a lot of those aces are going to be all in pre-flop.
Yeah.
So he'll be fairly confident his king nine's good now, and I'd be surprised if we don't see at least a small value bet. Certainly going to be hands like 8-10, some weaker nines that can call river.
Well, instead, Kamatsky checks and allows Shigai to bluff river into a pot of 1.35 million. Shigai has bet 850,000.
Yeah, and he's gone really big here. I imagine this is a bet designed to try and fold out a 7. Probably expects to still get called by a 9 the way the action's played out. I would be surprised to see Kamatsky fold this hand. It's probably the strongest one that he checks at the river. And of course, you don't want to be folding all of the hands you get here with. Otherwise, your opponent has a really easy bluff.
Yeah, he might deliberate it for a few moments, but I'd be very, very surprised to see a fold here ever.
There's the call from Kamatsky. And now Shigai has dropped below the 10 big blind mark. He's left with just 9 bigs. Action on Kamatsky. He's on the button in the small blind. Queen 10 offsuit. He shoves on Shigai, who calls
Chips to the middle.
with Jack 8 suited. So Shigai at risk and behind. He does have 2 live cards. He's got roughly 40%, but he will need to hit to improve. If Queen high holds or Kamatsky connects with the board, this is over and we have a champion.
Just one safe run out away from EPT title history.
It's been a long time since we crowned a winner on the PokerStars European Poker Tour. In fact, it's been more than a year. December 2016 in Prague. And now, Arseniy Kamatsky on the verge of lifting an EPT main event trophy. Just has to hold here. The flop is 10 high. Kamatsky with top pair, but Shigai with the straight draw.
He's going to need a 9 or a jack to win this pot.
And Kamatsky with the only diamond as well.
Shigai at risk with 7 outs. The turn card is a 7 pairing the board. Same out, still live for Shigai. Unless there is a jack or a 9 on the river, we have a champion here in Sochi. Will Shigai hit on the river?
That's got to be Russian for one time.
Will there be a jack or a 9? No, it's over. We have our winner. Arseniy Kamatsky has won the EPT Sochi 2018 main event. Shigai is the runner-up.
You got to say a very worthy winner. He hasn't really put a foot wrong. He did have that one huge pot with the kings for the one.